Grandmother and grandfather's Indian, your grandpa's Indian, your grandmother's Indian, so you can't be nothing else but Indian.
The Mowa Choctaws are the descendants of Native Americans who avoided being sent west on the Trail of Tears in the 1830s. But ever since, they say they've had people calling them everything but Native American.
And Chief Williford Longhair Taylor was elected to 4 consecutive terms as chief of the 6,000-member Mowa tribe. Chief Taylor recently sat down with our Eric Reynolds to talk about official recognition from Alabama and the federal government and the history of his people.
Here's the interview.
This is Pawpaw's grandmother. That's your great-grandmother. My mother and father always told us that you're Indian, I don't care what anyone tell you. We're Indians, we always been Indians, we always will be Indians. And they told us to be proud of our heritage.
Chief Williford Longhair Taylor served 16 years as chief of the Mobile, Washington Band of Choctaws, also known as the Mowas. Despite losing the election for a 5th consecutive term last November, Chief Taylor continues working for Mowa federal recognition and sharing their history.
We survived because we wasn't really known to be here. The stories the elders had passed on to me said that we lived in a remote area in the piney woods and the sand hills. There's a few people knew about us. The white men that own these turpentine mills, timber business, we worked for them because we were cheap labor. And they didn't want us to be revealed because they was making money off of us. So they kept us hid for a while.
Whites and African Americans intermarried with the Mowas, creating a melting pot in the area at the Mobile-Washington County line. Chief Taylor says that made some people, even a visiting Louisiana congressman, think they were no longer Native Americans.
Then people try to name us as Cajuns, Creole. We are a mixture of different nationalities. We don't deny our cousins. I don't care how he look. If he's my cousin, he's my cousin. But our basic core is Native American. Because you can look at our tribe of members and see
if America is to remain a first-class nation, she can no longer have second-class citizens.
Civil rights gave us our freedom too, so now we can reveal ourselves, let them know we're here. Right after 1962 Civil Rights Movement. A lot of people that work.
Chief Taylor says the freedom to finally be themselves.
We always kept our identity and heritage. We practiced our rituals, but we kept them hid. The Choctaw traditionally had a spring festival and a fall festival. We celebrated that when the crops was harvested. We got state recognition. You go back to an act in 1832, the state of Alabama recognized us as Indian, Choctaw Indians. We just can't get the federal government to see that.
Mowa state recognition was reaffirmed in 1979, but for more than 30 years, they've struggled to get federal recognition. Chief Taylor believes the Mowas have 2/3 of the congressional support needed. He says Senator Jeff Sessions may be the missing piece.
He believes you should go through the system. I believe you should go through the system. But what if the system is broken? The system is broken, Senator. You need to fix it so we people, not only Mowa, Choctaw, get a fair break. I have never sought to get gaming because you got a strong missionary background, a strong religious background and conviction.
Gaming on several Indian reservations nationwide is one reason Chief Taylor says the Mowas have not yet gotten federal recognition. He says that gaming is not what the Mowas want.
What I want federal recognition for is to promote better education, better jobs, more sanitary living conditions. It would mean more housing. It would mean more grants to develop a good industrial complex. We could have our own clinics, our own social system.
Chief Taylor, who has even let science prove his heritage to others, continues the fight for federal recognition today and to pass the Moa heritage on to the future generation.
I want them to be proud of their heritage. Your grandmother and grandfather's in it, your grandpa's in it, your grandmother's in it, so you can't be nothing else but in it. The DNA test. I think 9 of my markers was Native American. I told you I was Indian.
On the Moa Reservation at the Mobile-Washington County line, Eric Reynolds, Fox 10 News.
And Chief Taylor says one of his major accomplishments was saving the reservation's housing authority from federal takeover. Well, the chief is still involved in several projects to better living conditions for the Moa tribe, like plans to build a sewer system.
And the chief lost a close election to the new chief, Raymond Weaver, back in November, but he says he's always available for the chief, Chief Weaver that would be, and for the Moa people.